Just take a look around you for a second. Wherever you are, you're surrounded by stuff. Books, gadgets, clothes, pictures. And they aren't just objects, are they? They're kind of extensions of us. But what is our actual relationship with all this stuff? We're about to dive deep into why we hold on so tightly to our possessions. And trust me, the story goes a lot deeper than you might think. You totally know that feeling, right? You're cleaning out a drawer and you hesitate over like an old movie ticket or a worn-out t-shirt. For most of us, it's just a little pang and then we move on. But what if it wasn't? What if the idea of letting go of anything felt completely overwhelming? That's the question we're going to explore, and it opens up a much bigger, much more important conversation. And this is where things get incredibly serious. We're not just talking about a messy room here. What you're seeing is from a real Associated Press headline way back in 1947. It describes a clutter avalanche. It is an absolutely tragic story that shows you the literal life or death stakes that can be hidden behind closed doors. And it really makes you wonder, how does it ever get to this point? Okay, so to really get how this happens, we have to look past the reality TV shows and get into the clinical reality of it all. So let's start with what hoarding disorder actually is. So this is the official definition from the DSM-5, which is basically the handbook for mental disorders. And the words here are really specific. Notice it says nothing about junk or trash. It's all about two things: the difficulty in letting go and the distress that letting go causes. The actual value of the items, totally irrelevant. It's what's happening inside the person that defines the disorder. And the fallout from this is just devastating. It goes way beyond just having unusable rooms. The safety risks are huge. I mean, one study found that almost a quarter of all preventable fire deaths were linked to hoarding. A quarter. Then you add in serious health problems from sanitation issues and the profound social isolation it creates, you start to get a picture of how debilitating this really is. And look, this isn't just a private struggle. It's a major public issue with a massive price tag. This number, $6.4 million, was the estimated annual cost of hoarding in just one city, San Francisco, and that was back in 2009. And these said it was probably an underestimate even then. It's a huge burden on public health and city services. So we get the what, we see how serious it is. But that leaves the biggest question of all, right? Why? Why does this happen? What is driving this behavior to such an incredible extreme? Well, researchers have a couple of main theories. On one hand, you've got the cognitive behavioral model. It suggests there are issues with things like decision-making and really strong, faulty beliefs about possessions. Then, on the other hand, there's the evolutionary model, which basically says, hey, maybe this was once a survival advantage. Stockpiling nuts and berries was a good thing when food was scarce. But here's the thing. Those explanations don't quite get to the heart of it, do they? They don't really account for the intense emotional weight of it all. Where does that deep, profound fear of letting go actually come from? To figure that out, we have to look somewhere else, at our very first human relationships. Anna, this is where we get to a really fascinating and powerful idea from psychology. The theory that for some people, their relationship with objects isn't really about the objects at all. It's about attachment. So attachment theory is a huge deal in psychology. The basic idea is that as babies, we are literally hardwired to seek safety and comfort from a caregiver. And the way that need gets met, or, doesn't get met, creates this kind of blueprint, this internal working model that shapes how we see ourselves and how we connect with others for the rest of our lives. And that early experience tends to lead us down one of two main paths. With secure attachment, a child learns a really powerful lesson. I am worthy of love, and I can count on other people. But with insecure attachment, if a caregiver isn't responsive, the lesson is different. It might be, I'm not lovable, or I can't rely on anyone else to keep me safe. Okay, so what happens when that fundamental human need for a safe connection isn't met by other people? Well, research suggests we start looking for surrogates, for stand-ins. For some, that might be a powerful connection with God. For others, it's with pets, a kind of people substitution. And for the topic we're talking about today, some people find that sense of safety and reliability in things. Possessions can't leave you. They're predictable. They become a substitute for that dependable connection they never had. Now, that link between our stuff and our need for attachment it's a huge insight. And it doesn't just help explain hoarding, it gives all of us a new lens to look at our own possessions. Because if the unhealthy extreme is clinging to things out of fear, then what's the healthy opposite? And this is where we can pivot from a place of insecure attachment to one of secure action by organizing our lives not for ourselves, but for the people we love. This quote really says it all. The true opposite of hoarding out of fear isn't just being tidy. It's about thoughtfully preparing for the future. It's about acting as that secure, dependable base for your loved ones, giving them a clear path to follow during what will be an incredibly tough time. You're reframing the whole task as a gift of peace of mind. And that is the big shift in thinking. It's moving from a mindset of compensate attachment, where your things are filling a void from the past, to one of intentional organization, where you're proactively creating a legacy of care for the future. You're transforming your relationship with your stuff from one based on fear to one based on love and empowerment. So what does that look like practically? Well, a really powerful tool is something called a legacy binder. It's just one central organized place for all the critical info your loved ones are going to need. You can see the list here. It's everything from legal docs and bank accounts to car titles and, so important today, a master list of all your passwords. Just having this ready to go removes a mountain of stress and guesswork when people are already grieving. And beyond all the practical stuff, there's the personal. You can also include something called legacy letters. Just notes to your loved ones, sharing memories, your hopes for them, saying the things that need to be said. It's a way to make sure your emotional legacy, your voice, is right there with everything else. So in the end, that's really the question for all of us. Our relationship with our stuff tells a story. Is it a story of anxiety, of holding on tight because of a fear of loss? Or can it become a story of secure, intentional care for the people who matter most to you? What story do you want your possessions to tell?